All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Karen Caldwell. I'm the owner and nutrition coach here at B3 Gym. Thank you so much for joining me for this month's free virtual nutrition talk. If you do have any questions as we go, please type them in the chat or hold on to them and I will open it up for questions at the end. Today, we're going to talk all about sugar and sweets. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and we will get this party started. All right. So here at B3 Gym, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated. And this is why we focus on a simple habit-based approach to help you reach your goals one step at a time. Our nutrition program is backed by Healthy Steps Nutrition, who has helped over 40,000 people all around the world take control of their health. And here are a few of our very own incredible success stories from our members here at B3 Gym. While our approach is simple, it's not always easy, but we can help you take control of your health as well. So let's talk about sugar. All right, many studies show that a high consumption of sugar is associated with inflammation in the body and many chronic diseases. All of the cells in our body need sugar or glucose for energy, but some diseases are directly linked to overconsumption of sugar, including diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Obesity is also strongly correlated with sugar consumption and can account for at least 13 different types of cancer, including breast, liver, and colon cancer. Did you know the average American consumes over 500 calories of sugar in a single day? That's about 36 teaspoons. In a given year, Americans are consuming over 150 pounds of sugar. According to the USDA, in 1822, so about 200 years ago, the average American ate in 5 days the amount of sugar found in one of today's 12-ounce sodas. So now we eat that much every 7 hours. It makes sense that the prevalence of obesity in 2017-2018 was 42% for adults and 19% in children and adolescents. It's also clear why we're still seeing these numbers increase yearly. So the risk factors associated with a high consumption of sugar might shock you, or maybe it's the amount of sugar we consume that surprises you. You might be wondering, how are we consuming that much sugar? So think about the last time you had a sweet treat that somehow turned into a few more innocent handfuls, or that one cookie that all of a sudden turned into a whole sleeve of cookies, right? We've all been there. In fact, I've helped many of my nutrition clients navigate the sugar in their life in a mindful way. There becomes this negative cycle of restricting our sweet foods to just having one and then feeling guilty, and then we tend to overconsume or go overboard. So why do we struggle so much to stay mindful with our sugar consumption? Sugar is addictive. According to the FDA, addiction is a craving for a specific substance that involves continuous use, which becomes hazardous to your well-being. So let me put it in these terms. A study from the University of Minnesota found that the effect of sugary foods on our brain chemicals is similar when compared to those on drugs. This is where that phrase, sugar is more addicting than cocaine, comes from. We know how much the average person is consuming and why it's so easy for us to consume that amount when we know it's considered addictive and when we understand the negative consequences it has on our health. But you might be wondering, how much really is 34 teaspoons? Is it a lot? The American Heart Association recommends no more than 24 grams of added sugar for women and 36 grams for men each day, or about 6 and 9 teaspoons of sugar. So the average American is consuming nearly 6 times the recommended limit for sugar in a given day. But we aren't likely to sit around and just eat sugar cubes all day. So how are we over-consuming all of this sugar? Sugar can be really sneaky. Sometimes sugar can hide in different types of foods without us even being aware of it. So let's review the 3 most common foods with hidden sugar. Number 1 is going to be our convenience breakfast foods, such as oatmeal packets, Pop-Tarts, yogurt, and our favorite cereals. So let's break this down. Single serve oatmeal packets contain 11 to 15 grams of sugar per packet, and sugar is the second ingredient. One package of 2 Pop-Tarts contains 30 grams of sugar, 29 of which is added sugar. Trix cotton candy yogurt has 14 grams of sugar per serving, and a popular breakfast cereals have an average of 10 grams per 3/4 of a cup. All right, so number 2 on our food list is going to be easy grab and go snacks. Think about those snacks we keep in the pantry. We have trail mix, granola bars, packaged pastries, and even most protein bars. Trail mix that's often marked as a heart healthy snack contains 10 grams of sugar. Packaged pastries like those Little Debbie Swiss rolls, I ate a lot of those when I was a kid, contains 27 grams of sugar for one package of 2 Swiss roll pastries. A typical granola bar, such as a Nutri-Grain cereal bar, contains 12 grams of sugar. And a Quaker chewy dipped chocolate chip granola bar that we might put in our kids' lunch has 13 grams. Lastly, in this category of our grab and go snacks, protein bars. Not all protein bars are as healthy as you might think. Some protein bars have 19.5 grams of sugar, which is more than a Krispy Kreme donut that has 12.6 grams of sugar. I'm not saying you should eat donuts instead of protein bars, but be mindful of how much sugar is in each one of those. So lastly, we're going to touch on beverages. Beverages have become a huge topic of conversation when we discuss the obesity epidemic. Here are a few shocking sugar-packed beverages. Our Nesquik fat-free chocolate milk has 54 grams of sugar. Minute Maid lemonade has about 29 grams of sugar. Snapple iced tea has 46 to 50 grams of sugar, depending on the flavor. A 12-ounce Coke has 39 grams of sugar. And lastly, our flavored coffee creamers have about 6 grams of sugar per tablespoon, which can add up really quickly, especially if you just pour a lot of coffee creamer in there or you're having multiple cups per day. So think about the beverages, the quick snacks, maybe the breakfast foods that you and your family have had in the last week. Let's take a minute to breathe after that, right? It's true. Sugar is hidden everywhere in our food. So what do we do? How can we decrease our sugar consumption to improve our health? Know what's in your food. You can do this by learning how to read a nutrition facts label. So the new nutrition facts label make it very easy to identify how much sugar is natural and how much sugar is added to our packaged food. You want to make sure you read the nutrition label or nutrition facts and ingredient labels to know exactly what you're putting in your body. Once you start looking, you might honestly be surprised. Remember, when you're looking at the ingredients label, the list of ingredients in your food, the first thing listed is the most abundant ingredient in that food. And then the list continues based on how much is in the food. So where do we start? First, we want to check out the serving information found at the top. For a single serve, bottle, can, or packaged snack, odds are that the label is going to be for the entire package or the entire food. However, if you're getting your food from a larger container, it will be helpful to understand the serving size. So take a look at that first. To find the sugar, we need to look at the total carbohydrate section, where you'll usually find dietary fiber, total sugars, and added sugars. And a reminder, our added sugars are sugars that are intentionally added to the food or beverage, usually for taste, but also to help prolong the shelf life of the food. So to search further, you can bring your eyes down to the ingredient list. There are estimated to now be around 60 different names for sugar on the food label. So look for things that say sugar and in ose, such as fructose, or have syrup in their name. Now that we're aware of the sneaky sugars and how to find them, let's dive into 3 tips to enjoy sweet treats mindfully. So tip number 1 is going to be to use sugar alternatives. There are many different names for sugar, as we discussed, and while some are marketed as healthier, they all contain glucose, which causes an inflammatory response in the body. So for instance, honey, Maple syrup and agave, all of these sweeteners that we add to our food, all have sugar. So here are 3 substitutes to use in the kitchen that will sweeten up your food without providing the extra sugar. Cinnamon is going to be a great one. It hits the same taste buds without adding any grams of sugar. You can add it to protein pancakes, muffins, your oats in the morning, or even in your coffee. Unsweetened shredded coconut is another great one. You can add to the protein energy balls, or you can sprinkle in your oatmeal as well, and that will also add in a little fat. Fruit puree is a great one for baking as well. So no sugar added purees in baking give you the sweet taste, but also help to moisten up the baked goods. Tip number 2 is going to be to never eat carbs alone. So when we eat meals and snacks that are not balanced with a protein, a carbohydrate, and a fat, we're more likely to spike our blood sugar. When we pair protein and fat with our carb or our sugar sources, we actually feel fuller for longer, and the slower digestive process of fat and protein allows for better glucose management. So we don't see that huge spike when we eat something. Instead of eating that packaged oatmeal alone, which we know is packed with sugar, find a lower sugar option or use some old-fashioned oats, and consider adding in a hard-boiled egg on the side. You can also add some protein powder with a little peanut butter to your oatmeal, or you can even add a little bit of Greek yogurt for a better balance with your meals and snacks. Lastly, tip number 3 is to stay mindful with your portions. So we are allowed and should incorporate our favorite sweet treats into our nutrition, but we should do so in mindful portions. So finding that balanced mindset that allows you to still enjoy the cookie, but then move on instead of eating the entire sleeve of cookies. This definitely takes time and practice, but there are a few things that you can do to help yourself stay mindful. Number 1 is going to be to eat balanced meals throughout the day to keep you from getting to that over hungry, starving state. Number 2 is going to be to portion out the snack instead of eating right out of the container. Number 3, take time to enjoy the treat by putting your fork down in between bites. And number 4, after consuming the treat, follow it with a glass of water. And I actually ran into this. I'm going to share a personal story. Ran into this last night. I was craving ice cream for weeks. And normally if I have a craving, I'll let it go for a day and it goes away. This one was not going away. So for me, I grabbed a very, very small ice cream, single serve ice cream from the store last night. Definitely was a little bit harder not to grab the big one, but staying mindful and making those decisions in that moment, definitely very, very important. So for more great information on how the sugar we consume affects overall health and wellness, be sure to check the Nutrition Made Simple podcast, episode 15 with Nicole Coyne, founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, and Josh Clemente, where they talk about continuous glucose monitoring. That is something that you'll see a lot of diabetics use, the little thing on the back of the arm that constantly monitors glucose levels. They dive a little bit deeper into the science of how sugar affects your body, and I would definitely recommend checking out that episode if you have some time. So at this point, I hope you've learned a couple things about sneaky sugar and how you can stay a little bit more mindful, but you also might be wondering about some more tips that have helped over 40,000 people reach their health and wellness goals. And while there's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so we know this can feel really overwhelming. To start building your foundation, there are a couple important principles that have helped so many of our clients take control of their health one habit at a time. Number 1 is going to be to add more whole foods into your diet. So rather than grabbing packaged foods that might be loaded with sugar, whole foods are going to allow you to be a little bit more mindful and in control of your sugar intake. So the easiest way to take control of your nutrition is to start by choosing whole food options and less processed packaged foods that have sodium, fat, and sugar. Reshaping your plate with the plate method is one of the easiest strategies you can use. So we want to fill half of our plate with non-starchy vegetables, a quarter with lean protein, a quarter with starchy carbohydrates, and a mindful amount of healthy fat in there as well. And we also want to focus on balance. And so when we say balance, we mean that every meal and snack that you're eating throughout the day has a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat. We talked about this already, but pairing each meal and snack with all three of those macronutrients are going to help you feel a little bit fuller for longer, and it's going to sustain those glucose levels throughout the day. Limit the added sugar. Obviously, this whole presentation was about sugar today, but as a reminder, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 6 teaspoons for women and 9 for men over the course of the day. All right, we're going to answer a couple of frequently asked questions. What do you eat around your workout? So fueling around your workout to gain muscle, lose fat, increase energy, really any health and fitness goal is going to be really important. So you want to aim to have healthy carbohydrates and protein before and after your workout. If you don't put gas in your car, you're not going to expect it to go. So we want to make sure that we're also not running our body on empty as well. What if you don't like vegetables? I hear this one a lot. Maybe you just haven't found the right way that you like them, or you haven't tried a bunch of different options. So rather than roasting your vegetable or microwaving your vegetables, or they're all mushy and kind of gross, try roasting them, give them a nice little crunch. You can add good seasonings to them to make them a little bit more exciting to you. You can also find ways to sneak them into recipes and smoothies as an easy way to get more vegetables in your day. So example, I had a smoothie this morning and I put rice cauliflower in there. It makes a nice creamy texture for your smoothies. All right, where should you start? One thing at a time. All right, if you try to start with too many things all at once, it becomes really overwhelming, really unsustainable. So focus on one thing. And maybe it's something you already have in mind, or maybe it's something that we talked about today. The best and fastest way to reach your goals is to work one-on-one with a nutrition coach to build a plan that is just for you and fits your lifestyle. So at B3 Gym, we focus on a habit-based approach to create an individual plan just for you. We work with you to build a nutrition foundation and create a sustainable plan that you can build into your current lifestyle. We know how important support and accountability is when it comes to your long-term goals, which is why we're there every step of the way to help guide you. You can visit our website or email us directly to schedule a free intro session. No commitment necessary, just trying to get to know a little bit more about you and figure out what your goals are and how we can help. If you're looking for more information about how this program can change your life, tune into the Nutrition Made Simple podcast. There are tons of episodes on there with helpful tips on a variety of different nutrition and health topics. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this month's free virtual nutrition talk on sugar and sweets. Hopefully you found some helpful information in here. Be sure to keep an eye out for our next one coming up in July. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out. Let me know. I'd be happy to answer those if you do have any more questions about sugar and sweets and how you can improve your nutrition a little bit. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.